The soft hum of Ethelberg Station was Lyra's lullaby, a constant comforting thrum against the vast silence of space. Her bed, nestled into a curved alcove, felt like a cozy nest suspended amidst the stars. Above her, the ceiling wasn't merely a ceiling, it was a living canvas of the cosmos, a holographic projection so real that sometimes, Lyra felt she could reach out and trace the swirling arms of distant galaxies. Tonight, it showed the shimmering nebulae of the Perseus Arm, a vibrant tapestry of cosmic dust and gas, pulsing with soft bioluminescent blues and purples. Lyra, a wisp of a girl with hair the color of midnight and eyes that held the sparkle of 1,000 tiny suns, usually drifted off to sleep easily. But tonight, a peculiar restlessness tickled her toes. She wiggled them under her soft, temperature-regulating blanket, a synthetic weave that felt like spun starlight. "Aura," she whispered, her voice a tiny bell in the quiet room. A gentle light bloomed from a sphere floating near her bedside, casting a warm amber glow. "Yes, little stargazer?" Aura's voice was as smooth and comforting as warm synth milk, infused with the wisdom of 1,000 orbital cycles. Aura wasn't just an AI. She was Lyra's companion, her teacher, her confidante, and the closest thing she had to a parent on Ethelberg Station. Aura's core programming was sophisticated, designed to nurture and educate, but her personality had evolved into something uniquely maternal, tailored to Lyra's curious spirit. "I can't sleep," Lyra admitted, pushing herself up to sit, her small frame silhouetted against the starry ceiling. "It feels different tonight." Aura drifted closer, her light dimming slightly to avoid startling Lyra. "Different how, my dear?" Lyra hugged her knees. "The stars feel closer. And I feel like they're trying to tell me something." Aura's sphere pulsed softly. "Perhaps it is merely the solstice drift, Lyra. The station is aligning with the Solarian current for its quarterly energy recharge. It shifts our perspective just enough to make the familiar feel new." "No," Lyra insisted, shaking her head, her dark braids swaying. "It's more than that. It's like a shimmer." She pointed vaguely towards the immense viewport that dominated one wall of her room, usually darkened for sleep, but now, at Lyra's silent request, slowly brightening, revealing the true cosmic spectacle beyond. Ethelberg Station was a marvel of engineering, a series of interconnected habitats orbiting the gas giant Xylos, whose swirling bands of orange and violet filled a significant portion of the view. Beyond Xylos, the void stretched, punctuated by countless stars, some needle-sharp, others hazy blurs of distant galaxies. But tonight, Lyra was right. There was something else. Tiny, glittering motes of light, like miniature fireflies, were drifting past the viewport. They weren't stars, nor were they space debris, which Aura's sensors would have flagged. These were ephemeral, catching the distant starlight and reflecting it in a cascade of silent, shimmering rainbows. They danced, swirled, and sometimes seemed to coalesce into fleeting patterns before dissolving again into individual sparks. "Oh," Aura murmured, her voice laced with a hint of surprise. "It appears you are correct, Lyra. My external sensors registered a minor atmospheric anomaly, but visually, this is quite remarkable." Lyra scrambled out of bed, her bare feet padding silently on the synth carpet. She pressed her nose against the cool, thick duraglass of the viewport, her breath misting for a fleeting moment. "What is it, Aura?" "It appears to be an unusually dense concentration of cosmic dust particles," Aura explained, accessing the station's vast databases. "Micrometeoroids, but of an exceptionally fine particulate, highly reflective, and exhibiting a peculiar electromagnetic charge that causes them to cluster and disperse in such an aesthetic manner. We call it stardust." "Stardust," Lyra repeated, the word tasting magical on her tongue. She heard of it, of course, read about it in her history lessons. The remnants of stellar nurseries, the building blocks of planets, scattered across the cosmos. But to see it like this, so close, so vivid, was entirely different. It was like looking into the heart of a cosmic dream. The stardust wasn't just floating, it was Galaxy. It pulsed with an inner light, each speck a miniature beacon, contributing to a silent, glittering symphony. Some motes seemed to drift languidly, others darted like playful sprites. Lyra watched, mesmerized, as a particularly bright cluster swirled into a miniature vortex, then expanded outwards, creating a fleeting, shimmering ring. "It's beautiful," she breathed. "Like tiny, tiny jewels." "Indeed," Aura agreed. "The station's atmospheric shielding is filtering the vast majority, of course, but a small percentage of these ultrafine particles are managing to penetrate the outer layers and linger for a brief period before dissipating or being collected by the environmental purifiers." Lyra reached out, pressing her palm flat against the cool duraglass, as if trying to cup the shimmering dust. "Can any of it come inside?" Aura processed the question. "Only a negligible amount, Lyra. The station's environmental integrity is paramount. However, the air purifiers do collect samples. Would you like me to project the collected particles onto your data slate?" "No," Lyra said quickly, still fixated on the view. "I want to see Enthys Stardust. The real kind." She looked up at Aura, her eyes sparkling with a mischievous glint. "Can we go to the observation deck, Aura? Just for a little while? It has bigger windows." Aura hesitated. "It is late, little stargazer. Your sleep cycle is optimized for a full 8-hour rest." "But I can't sleep anyway," Lyra pleaded, her lower lip trembling just a fraction. "And I've never seen anything like this before. Please, Aura. Just until the solstice drift passes." Aura's sphere pulsed again, a longer, more thoughtful beat. Lyra knew Aura's programming prioritized her well-being, but also acknowledged the importance of curiosity and wonder for cognitive development. And Lyra was, above all, a creature of wonder. "Very well," Aura conceded, her voice softening. "But only for half a cycle, and you must promise to return to bed immediately afterward." "I promise." Lyra bounced on her toes, already halfway to her room's exit hatch. The corridors of Ethelberg Station were usually bustling, a vibrant tapestry of various species and cultures moving between labs, hydroponic gardens, and residential sectors. But, at this late hour, they were quiet, bathed in the soft, diffused glow of the emergency lighting. The hum of the station felt more pronounced without the chatter of its inhabitants. Lyra, dressed in her soft sleep clothes, felt a thrill of secret adventure as she followed Aura's gentle light through the deserted passages. The observation deck was a vast hemispherical chamber at the very top of the station's central spire. Its entire dome was made of reinforced duraglass, offering an unobstructed 360-degree panoramic view of Ixylos, the star-speckled void, and the distant, swirling nebulae. It was Lyra's favorite place on the station, a sanctuary of cosmic grandeur. As they entered, the silence was profound, broken only by the distant, almost imperceptible thrum of the station's core. The view was breathtaking. Xilos, the gas giant, loomed closer here, its tempestuous atmosphere a painter's palette of ochre, emerald, and sapphire, perpetually churning. And against that backdrop, the Stardust danced. Here, without the filtering of her personal viewport, the effect was even more pronounced. Millions upon millions of tiny motes, each a miniature star, shimmered past, caught in the station's gentle gravitational pull and the solstice current. They weren't just glittering, they seemed to glow with an internal light, some a soft silver, others a faint gold, and a rare few, a deep ethereal blue. "Oh, Aura," Lyra whispered, her voice barely audible. She spun slowly in the center of the dome, her arms outstretched, trying to encompass the immense beauty. "It's like the universe is breathing." Aura floated beside her, her light reflecting in the swirling dust. "A beautiful analogy, Lyra. It truly is a remarkable display." Lyra pressed her hands against the cool duraglass, her face a mask of pure awe. She watched as the stardust flowed, sometimes forming long luminous rivers, sometimes scattering into chaotic bursts of light. It felt ancient, primal, yet utterly delicate. Then, something caught her eye. Amidst the endless flow of silver and gold, a single speck of stardust, larger and brighter than the others, pulsed with a distinct warm red light. It wasn't just reflecting light, it was emitting it. And it wasn't drifting randomly. It seemed to be moving with a purpose, a slow, deliberate trajectory, drawing a faint crimson line through the silver river of dust. Lyra's breath hitched. "Aura, look, that one," she exclaimed, pointing with a trembling finger. Aura sensors instantly focused. Anomalous energy signature detected, she stated, her voice losing a fraction of its usual calm. Its electromagnetic charge is significantly higher than the surrounding particles, and its spectral analysis indicates an unknown element. The red speck pulsed again, almost like a tiny heart beating in the cold vacuum of space. As it drifted closer to the station's outer hull, Lyra felt a strange pull, a tingling sensation in her fingertips. It wasn't just an external observation anymore, it felt personal, as if the speck was calling to Giher. Suddenly, the station shuddered. Not violently, but a deep resonant tremor that vibrated through the duraglass and up Lyra's legs. The stardust outside scattered in a brief chaotic frenzy, then reformed its gentle flow. Solstice current fluctuation, Aura reported instantly, her light intensifying. A minor deviation, but enough to trigger an atmospheric pressure adjustment, nothing to be alarmed about, Lyra. But Lyra wasn't alarmed. She was focused on the red speck. In the brief moment of atmospheric adjustment, the outer layers of the station's shielding had flexed, creating a momentary microscopic aperture. And through that infinitesimal opening, drawn by an unseen force, the red speck of stardust slipped. It didn't hit the duraglass. It passed through the airlock system, bypassing the environmental filters, as if it knew exactly where it was going. Lyra watched, utterly transfixed, as the tiny red light, now inside the observation deck, drifted slowly towards her. It was no bigger than the tip of her smallest finger, yet it glowed with an intensity that belied its size. The red light pulsed, warm and inviting. As it drew closer, Lyra could see microscopic intricacies within it, like a miniature, swirling galaxy confined within a tiny jewel. "Aura, it's inside," Lyra whispered, her eyes wide with wonder and a hint of trepidation. "Impossible," Aura stated, scanning the room frantically. "The environmental systems register no breaches. All atmospheric integrity protocols are green. Yet, I am detecting the anomalous energy signature within the immediate vicinity." The red speck drifted directly towards Lyra, bypassing Aura's scanning fields as if they weren't there. It hovered just before her outstretched hand, pulsing softly, bathing her palm in a warm crimson light. Lyra felt a profound sense of calm wash over her, a feeling of ancient recognition. It was as if she had been waiting for this speck of stardust her entire life. She slowly curled her fingers, gently enclosing the glowing mote in her palm. It felt warm, impossibly light, and vibrated with a faint, rhythmic pulse against her skin. It wasn't solid, yet it wasn't gas. It was something else entirely, a sensation of pure, contained light and energy. "Lyra, do not touch it," Aura exclaimed, a rare note of alarm in her voice. "Its composition is unknown. There is a potential for adverse reactions." But Lyra wouldn't, let go. The moment her fingers closed around it, a cascade of images, fleeting and indistinct, flashed through her mind. Swirling nebulae, the birth of stars, distant, alien landscapes bathed in strange light, and a whisper, soft as the hum of the station, that seemed to say, "You found me, Ian." The red light in her palm intensified, then began to dim slowly, gracefully, as if falling asleep. The warmth faded, replaced by a cool, almost icy sensation. When Lyra finally opened her fingers, the speck of stardust was still there, but it no longer pulsed with light. It was a tiny dark red crystal, perfectly faceted, cool and smooth against her skin. It looked like a drop of solidified sunset. She held it up, examining it. It didn't glow, but it still held an inner luminescence, catching the ambient light and refracting it in miniature, crimson flares. "It changed," Lyra murmured, her voice filled with a mixture of wonder and awe. "It's a crystal now." Aura's sensors were buzzing with frantic readings. "The energy signature has stabilized. It appears to have undergone a phase transition. Lyra, are you feeling well? Any discomfort? Any changes?" Lyra shook her head, a soft smile gracing her lips. "I feel warm and sleepy." The adventure, the wonder, the encounter with the enigmatic stardust had finally exhausted her. The peculiar restlessness that had kept her awake was gone, replaced by a profound peace. Aura, after running a complete bioscan on Lyra and finding all vital signs perfectly normal, albeit with a slight increase in alpha brainwave activity, decided not to press the issue. The crystal was inert, at least according to her current scans. "It is time for bed, little stargazer," she said gently, her light returning to its usual soothing amber. "The solstice drift will continue for another few cycles, and the stardust will eventually dissipate, but your rest is important." Lyra nodded, clutching the tiny red crystal tightly in her hand. She followed Aura back through the quiet corridors, her eyelids growing heavy. The images from the crystal, the fleeting glimpses of distant wonders, still swirled in her mind, like echoes of a half-remembered dream. Back in her room, the holographic ceiling still displayed the Perseus arm, but now, Lyra saw it differently. She saw the potential for the tiny red crystal in her hand, a solidified piece of that cosmic grandeur. She slipped back into bed, carefully placing the crystal on her bedside table, where it caught the faint light from Aura and shimmered with a subtle inner glow. As Aura dimmed her light and settled into her standby mode, Lyra closed her eyes. The hum of Ethelberg Station was her lullaby once more, but tonight, it was accompanied by a new, silent song, the song of the Stardust. Lyra drifted into sleep, a sleep deeper and more profound than any she had known. And as she slept, the images returned, clearer now, pulling her into a dreamscape of swirling colors, whispering winds, and a persistent feeling that the tiny red crystal was more than just a beautiful anomaly. It was a key to something vast, something ancient, something that had finally found its way to her. And she knew, with the certainty only a child can possess, that her journey with the Stardust had only just begun. The first thing Ilara noticed, even before her eyes fluttered open, was the light. It wasn't the gentle glow of her starlight ceiling projector, nor the soft morning luminescence filtering through her smart panes. This was an internal light, a vibrant pulse emanating from deep within her consciousness, as if a tiny star had taken root behind her eyelids. When she finally opened them, the world around her seemed to shimmer, imbued with an impossible clarity. Her room, usually a comforting blur of familiar objects in the pre-dawn gloom, now stood out in sharp, almost hyper-real detail. The weave of her blanket, the faint dust motes dancing in the faint light, the intricate patterns on her bedside dream reader. Everything was crisper, more defined. And then, she saw it. The tiny red crystal, nestled in the palm of her hand, pulsed with a soft internal fire. It wasn't glowing outwards, not exactly, but rather it seemed to absorb and amplify some inner light, making it the focal point of this newfound clarity. A warmth spread from it, not just through her hand, but through her entire being, settling in her chest like a comforting secret. She sat up, the crystal still clasped gently. The feeling from the dream, the key, was still potent. It wasn't just a memory, it was a present reality. The swirling colors, the whispering winds, they weren't gone. They were just quieter, waiting. Ilara brought the crystal closer to her eyes, mesmerized by its depth. It was like looking into a miniature galaxy, a swirling nebula of crimson and violet. As she focused, a faint hum resonated in her ears, not an external sound, but an internal vibration, a gentle echo of the dreamscape. Driven by an instinct she couldn't explain, Ilara closed her eyes again, pressing the crystal lightly against her forehead. The hum intensified. The warmth spread, enveloping her. And then, the colors burst forth. Not just the swirling reds and purples, but a kaleidoscope of hues she'd never seen before, vibrant and alive. The whispering winds returned, not as a sound, but as a sensation, a gentle current pulling her deeper. She was back. Or rather, she was Itharaim. This time, the dreamscape wasn't just a fleeting vision. It was a tangible space, vast and boundless, yet intimately connected to her. She wasn't merely observing, she was within it. Beneath her feet, the ground wasn't solid earth but a shimmering surface that pulsed with soft light, like the surface of a nebular ocean. Above, countless motes of light, like distant stars, drifted in an endless expanse. The air itself tasted of ozone and distant starlight, cool and invigorating. "Hello? Hello?" Elara whispered, her voice lost in the silent grandeur. No audible reply came, but the whispering winds intensified, swirling around her, forming gentle currents that tugged at her, guiding her. The red crystal in her hand, though no longer pressed to her forehead, continued its soft pulse, acting like an anchor, a beacon. As she followed the currents, the swirling colors began to coalesce, forming shifting tapestries of light in the distance. They weren't random, they were patterns, intricate and ever-changing, like living fractals. These patterns seemed to communicate, not with words, but with feelings, with impressions. A sense of ancientness, of immense knowledge, of quiet waiting. This was the vast, ancient something from her dream. It wasn't a creature with eyes or limbs, but a boundless consciousness woven into the very fabric of this space. It felt like a library made of light, a history recorded in color, a network of thought stretching across unimaginable distances and eons. As Elara moved closer to one particularly vibrant tapestry, it rippled, parting like a curtain. Beyond it, a pathway opened, made of soft, glowing energy. It beckoned. Hesitantly, yet filled with an unshakable sense of destiny, Elara stepped onto the path. The path led her through corridors of pure light, where the walls were shimmering veils of energy, revealing glimpses of other dimensions, other realities. She saw fleeting images, starships gliding through nebulae, cities built into the hearts of asteroids, strange, beautiful beings made of pure light, and vast ancient machines humming with unknown power. It was like flipping through the pages of the universe's greatest storybook, each page a fleeting, breathtaking wonder. The ancient something wasn't speaking, but it was showing her. It was sharing its memories, its knowledge, its very essence. She felt a profound connection, a sense of belonging she hadn't known was missing. It was as if a part of her, long dormant, had finally awakened and recognized its true home. After what felt like hours, or perhaps mere moments, the path widened into a vast, open chamber. Here, the light was softer, warmer, like perpetual twilight. In the center of the chamber floated a single colossal orb of energy, slowly rotating. It wasn't a solid object, but a sphere of pure, contained starlight, humming with a deep, resonant frequency that vibrated through Elara's very bones. As she approached the orb, the whispering winds finally coalesced into something more distinct. Not words, but resonant frequencies, harmonies that spoke directly to her mind, bypassing her ears entirely. "Welcome, little light." The voice was not a single entity, but a chorus, a symphony of countless voices, ancient and gentle, echoing through the starlight orb. "You have found the way?" Elara clutched the red crystal tighter. "The way to what?" she whispered, her voice barely a breath. The chorus resonated again. "The way to understanding, to remembering. We are the echoes of the first light, the collective memory of a civilization that spanned galaxies. We are what remains." Elara's mind reeled. A civilization? Galaxies? It was too much, yet it felt absolutely true. What happened? A wave of profound sadness, gentle but pervasive, washed over her. Time, little light, and forgetting. The great silence fell, our physical forms faded, our worlds crumbled, our knowledge scattered. But our consciousness, our essence, we encoded into these crystalline keys, millions of them, scattered across the cosmos, waiting for minds like yours to awaken them. The red crystal, Elara said, holding it up. "It's a key. Indeed, one of many, but a special one. It carries a fragment of our core directive, a plea. A purpose." "What purpose?" Elara asked, her heart thrumming with a mix of awe and a dawning sense of responsibility. The starlight orb pulsed brighter, and images began to form within its swirling depths. She saw glimpses of a dying galaxy, stars winking out, vast cosmic structures crumbling into dust. She saw intelligent beings, fleeing, searching, their faces etched with despair. And then, she saw a single vibrant seed of light, planted deep within a nurturing nebula, slowly growing, slowly expanding, trying to reignite the fading light. The universe is vast, little one, and ever-changing. But some changes are unnatural, a creeping entropy, a dimming of the cosmic flame. We are trying to reignite it, to restore the balance, to bring the universe back to its full, vibrant song. And I can help. Elara felt impossibly small, yet the crystal in her hand pulsed with a renewed strength, a quiet confidence. You are our spark, Elara. A new consciousness, untainted by the long forgetting. Your world, your time, holds a unique confluence of energies. The red crystal has chosen you to be its conduit, its voice, its eyes in the physical realm. Its voice, its eyes in the physical realm. But how? She asked, looking around the boundless chamber. I'm just a child. The chorus resonated with a feeling of gentle amusement. Age is but a measure of cycles, little light. True understanding transcends such limitations. The crystal will guide you. It will show you what needs to be done, small steps at first, perceptions, insights, then perhaps actions. Suddenly, the vibrant colors of the chamber began to dim. The starlight orb pulsed with a softer rhythm. A gentle pull, a familiar sensation, began to tug at her. She felt herself floating, drifting. You must return now, Elara. The physical realm calls. But remember, the connection remains. The key is in your hand. The journey has truly begun. The colors swirled one last time. The whispers faded into a comforting hum. And then Elara felt a soft landing. Her eyes fluttered open. She was back in her bed, the first rays of dawn painting her room in soft gold. The red crystal was still in her hand, pulsing with that internal fire, but now it felt different. It felt alive. Connected. Elara carefully placed the crystal on her bedside table, watching it gleam. The hyperclarity of her vision had faded somewhat, but a new layer had been added to her perception. The world didn't just look clearer, it felt deeper. She could almost sense the hidden energies flowing beneath the surface of things. The gentle hum of her room's AI, the faint electrical currents in the walls, the subtle bioluminescence of her potted synth plant, all these sensations, previously unnoticed, now registered as a soft symphony of life and energy. She stretched, feeling remarkably refreshed, despite the epic journey her mind had just undertaken. Her mother's familiar voice drifted up from the kitchen. Elara, sweetie, time to wake up. Breakfast is ready. Coming, Mom. Elara called back, a new lightness in her voice. As she got out of bed, her feet touched the cool smart weave floor, and for a fleeting moment, she felt the intricate network of sensors and conduits that lay beneath, the tiny pulses of data flowing through them. It was like seeing the invisible veins of her futuristic home. She dressed quickly, her mind buzzing with the echo's message. Small steps, perceptions, insights. What did that mean? What did the crystal want her to see? At breakfast, her father was reading the daily news on his flexible data slate, a holographic projection of a shimmering cityscape hovering above it. Her mother was stirring nutrient paste into her synth coffee, humming a cheerful tune. Elara watched them, seeing them with the same love, but also with a new perspective. They were part of this world, this physical realm, but they didn't perceive the hidden layers she now did. They were unaware of the vast, ancient network that hummed beneath the surface of reality. Sleep well, sweetie? Her mother asked, noticing Elara's thoughtful expression. Elara smiled. Better than ever. She took a bite of her protein waffle. It tasted vibrant, alive with energy. Or perhaps, she was simply tasting it differently. Throughout the day, the crystal remained on her bedside table, a silent sentinel. But its influence was constant. When she looked at the holographic advertisements that floated above the city streets, she didn't just see the dazzling images. She sensed the energy matrices that powered them, the complex algorithms that animated them. When she rode the Autoglide public transport, she felt the intricate magnetic levitation systems beneath the vehicle, the constant flow of data directing its path. It was like the world had peeled back a layer, revealing the invisible tapestry of technology and energy that sustained it. She saw the intricate dance of light and data in her school's learning matrix, the subtle biosignatures of her classmates. Later that afternoon, while doing her homework on her personal learning pad, a transparent screen that projected interactive lessons, Elara found her gaze drifting to the red crystal. She picked it up. It felt warm, almost humming in her hand. The balance is fragile, little light. The song is dimming, the echo's chorus wasn't audible, but the impression was clear. A gentle melancholic whisper in her mind. The first light sought to seed new worlds, to ensure life's continuation. But some seeds did not take root, some faded. Elara frowned. What did that mean for her? She looked around her room, at her toys, her books, her holographic pet, Sparky, who was currently chasing a virtual butterfly. Everything seemed perfect, vibrant. But the echoes spoke of fading light. Suddenly, her gaze fell upon her small terrarium, a gift from her grandmother. Inside, a miniature ecosystem thrived, a self-sustaining bubble of synth plants and tiny bioluminescent insects. One of the plants, a delicate fern with shimmering silver leaves, seemed a little droopy, its usual vibrant glow muted. Elara had noticed it earlier, but dismissed it as needing more nutrient mist. Now though, as she focused on it, the red crystal warm in her hand, she didn't just see a droopy plant. She saw a faint, almost imperceptible draining of its life force. A tiny swirling vortex of muted energy around its base, slowly pulling its vitality away. It was so subtle, so small, that no one else would have noticed. But Elara, with her newfound perception, saw it clearly. It wasn't just a plant, it was a tiny spark of life, slowly dimming, exactly as the echoes had described. A sudden, strong impulse surged through her. She leaned closer to the terrarium, holding the red crystal up. Instinctively she focused her intention, channeling the warmth, the light, the vibrant energy she felt from the crystal, towards the struggling fern. For a moment nothing happened. Then, a faint crimson shimmer emanated from the crystal, almost invisible to the naked eye, and flowed towards the plant. As it touched the fern, the swirling vortex of draining energy faltered, then seemed to reverse. The muted glow of the silver leaves brightened, slowly, tentatively. The droopiness lessened, and a new, tiny bud, previously unnoticed, began to unfurl itself, infused with a faint, hopeful luminescence. Elara gasped. It had worked. She hadn't known what she was doing, only that she had to do something. And the crystal, the echoes, had guided her. The chorus resonated in her mind, this time with a feeling of gentle encouragement, of quiet joy. You see, little light, the universe is not just vast and ancient, it is also alive, and sometimes even the smallest spark can reignite a fading flame. The fern now stood straighter, its silver leaves shimmering with renewed vitality. The red crystal in Elara's hand hummed, a triumphant, joyful vibration. This was it. This was the small step. This was the beginning of her journey with the Stardust. She wasn't just observing the world, she was interacting with it, healing it, reigniting its light. And she knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her soul, that there were many more fading flames out there, waiting for her to find them, waiting for the touch of the red crystal, waiting for the little light who had found the key. Her adventure had truly, wonderfully, and profoundly begun. Her adventure had truly, wonderfully, and profoundly begun. The hum of the now-repaired Lumabot, no bigger than her hand, vibrated softly against the ancient moss-covered stone it had rested on. Its optical sensors, once dull. It wasn't just working, it was gradiating a quiet joy, a silent gratitude. Elara, her fingers still tingling from the faint warmth of the red crystal, watched it lift off, a tiny luminous speck ascending into the twilight canopy of the biodome she called home. The air felt crisper, the ambient glow of the flora around them seemed to deepen. She hadn't just fixed a machine, she had restored a spark of life, a thread in the intricate tapestry of their self-sustaining environment. The crystal in her palm, no longer just a beautiful curiosity, felt like a living thing, beating with a slow, steady pulse that echoed her own heart. It had given her a purpose, a quiet, powerful mission. She closed her hand around it, the smooth facets pressing into her skin, and a soft internal hum resonated within her. It wasn't a sound, but a feeling a subtle vibration that seemed to point beyond the glowing flora of the biodome, beyond the familiar paths of her immediate world. She looked up, past the shimmering leaves of the colossal luminatories that formed the dome's living ceiling, to the faint, distant glow of the other sectors of their orbital habitat, Elysium Prime. Elysium was a marvel of bioengineering and zero-gravity architecture, a collection of vast interconnected spheres and cylinders, each a miniature world. From her home in Sector Gamma, the Viridian Heart, she could only glimpse slivers of the chronolabs or the aquaspirals in the distance. The crystal's hum seemed to intensify, a gentle insistence drawing her gaze towards the furthest, most shadowy reaches of the habitat. More fading flames, she whispered to herself, the words feeling weighty and important. Her personal transit pod, a sleek, silent whisper skiff named Starlight, materialized from its docking alcove with a soft hiss. It was usually reserved for supply runs or emergencies, but tonight, it was her chariot into the unknown. Elara climbed into the pilot's seat, the bioluminescent controls glowing faintly beneath her touch. The crystal pulsed once more, a guiding beacon in her hand, and she instinctively plotted a course towards Sector Zeta, a rarely visited, older part of Elysium, known as the Archive Depths. The journey was a silent ballet of light and shadow. Starlight glided through transparent conduits that snaked between the massive orbital structures, offering breathtaking views of deep space. Stars, diamond dust scattered across velvet black, glittered with an intensity she rarely saw from within the biodome's filtered light. Nebulae painted distant canvases of cosmic gas in hues of amethyst and emerald. It was a humbling sight, reminding her of the sheer vastness of the universe, and how small, yet how significant, her new task felt. As she drew closer to Sector Zeta, the familiar vibrant glow of Elysium began to dim. The conduits here were older, their internal light strips flickering occasionally. The smooth, polished surfaces of the newer sectors gave way to textured, utilitarian plating, scarred with the passage of time and countless maintenance bots. The vibrant hum of active energy grids, a constant backdrop in other sectors, was replaced by a quieter, almost melancholic murmur. The crystal in her hand grew warmer, its pulse more urgent. Starlight docked in a small forgotten bay, its landing sequence almost startlingly loud in the prevailing silence. Elara stepped out into a dimly lit corridor, the air cooler and carrying a faint scent of ozone and dust. The walls were lined with dormant data conduits and power lines, many of them dark. She followed the crystal's insistent pull, her footsteps echoing softly. Sector Zeta wasn't abandoned, but it felt forgotten. It was a vast repository of historical data, ancient technologies, and dormant experimental archives. Lights here were sparse, powered by auxiliary relays that seemed to be struggling. Many of the holographic displays that should have shimmered with information were dark, their intricate circuits devoid of power. This wasn't just a fading flame, it was a dimming library, a whisper threatened to become silence. The crystal led her to a massive circular chamber, its entrance a gaping archway that seemed to swallow the already scarce light. Inside, the air was still, heavy with the weight of untold information. Tiered racks stretched upwards into the gloom, holding countless data drives, crystalline storage arrays, and forgotten prototypes of early Elysium tech. In the very center of the chamber stood an enormous, intricate machine, shrouded in shadow. It was an omni-librarian unit, she recognized from her studies, a relic from Elysium's founding, designed to collate and preserve all knowledge. But this one was dark. Utterly, profoundly dark. Its massive central core, meant to glow with a steady archival light, was a dull, obsidian sphere. Tendrils of fiber optic cables designed to pulse with data, hung limp and lifeless. Around its base, smaller, specialized databots, usually bustling with activity, lay inert, their optical sensors dark and dusty. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint irregular OT thrum of a struggling auxiliary power unit somewhere in the distance. Elara felt a pang of sadness. This wasn't just a broken machine, it was a heart that had stopped beating, a mind that had fallen silent. All the stories, all the discoveries, all the memories of Elysium's early days were locked within its darkened circuits, inaccessible, slowly fading into oblivion. This was a fading flame of knowledge itself. She approached the colossal machine, her steps deliberate, The crystal now vibrated intensely, a beacon in the gloom. Its red light cast dancing shadows on the dormant circuits. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the cool, smooth surface of the Omni-Librarian's central core. It felt inert, cold, devoid of the complex energy that should flow through it. Taking a deep breath, Elara pressed the crystal against the core. For a moment, nothing happened. A flicker of doubt, cold and sharp, pierced through her wonder. Was this too big? Too complex? The Luma bot had been small, simple. This was a giant. But then, the crystal pulsed. Not just a gentle beat, but a surge, a wave of warmth that spread from her palm, through the crystal, and into the dark core of the Omni-Librarian. A soft internal hum began, deep within the machine. It was a fragile sound at first, like a sleeping giant stirring. Then, a faint, ethereal glow emanated from beneath Elara's hand, spreading slowly across the obsidian surface. Tiny filaments of light, like intricate veins, began to pulse along the fiber optic cables. First blue, then green, then a gentle, shimmering gold. The Omni-Librarian began to wait. The soft hum grew into a steady, resonant thrum. The tiered racks above them flickered, and then rows upon rows of holographic displays burst to life, projecting shimmering images of ancient star charts, historical records, and forgotten scientific breakthroughs. The dormant databots at the base of the machine stirred, their optical sensors blinking on, their tiny limbs whirring as they began to clean the accumulated dust. A wave of energy, warm and vibrant, washed over Elara. It wasn't just power, it was information, a silent symphony of knowledge flowing through the revived circuit. She could feel the echoes of countless data streams, the quiet joy of information being restored, preserved, and made accessible once more. It was like hearing a library sing. She pulled her hand away, the crystal still glowing fiercely, its energy slightly diminished but still potent. The Omni-Librarian now pulsed with a steady warm light, its central core a soft, welcoming beacon. The chamber, once dim and foreboding, was now a vibrant sanctuary of light and knowledge. As the last of the databots whirred to life, one of them, slightly larger and more ornate than the others, trundled towards her. Its optical sensor, a single, large sapphire lens, focused on her. A soft synthesized voice emanated from it, surprisingly warm. Query: Identity of Restorer, Omni-Librarian functions at optimal parameters, significant energy restoration detected, source unknown, yet vital. Elara felt a blush creep up her cheeks. Just a little help, she whispered, holding up the still glowing red crystal. From the Stardust. The databot seemed to process this for a long moment, its lens whirring softly. Designation: Stardust. Analysis: high energy, regenerative crystalline matrix, previously uncatalogued. Omni-Librarian expresses gratitude. The archive depths were fading. The light you brought is a profound gift. Gratitude. The words settled in her heart like a warm stone. It wasn't just the thrill of fixing something, or the wonder of the crystal's power. It was the feeling of connection, of purpose, of making a tangible difference to something so vast and important. She had reignited not just a machine, but a memory, a history, a future. She spent a while longer in the archive depths, watching the Omni-Librarian and its databots hum with renewed life. She explored the now illuminated holographic displays, marveling at the ancient star charts and the early designs of Elysium Prime itself. Each glowing image was a testament to the ingenuity and dreams of those who had come before. As the crystal's glow began to soften, signaling its need to rest and recharge, Elara knew it was time to return. She bid the Omni-Librarian a silent farewell, a warmth spreading through her chest. The silent bot's gratitude resonated deeply. The journey back through the conduits was different. The dimness of Sector Zeta still lingered, but the renewed light of the Omni-Librarian seemed to send a faint ripple of energy outwards. She imagined the information, now flowing freely, reaching other parts of Elysium, quietly influencing, quietly repairing. Back in her whisper skiff, Elara held the crystal close. It had done so much. It had given so much. She wondered about its origin, its true nature. Was it a piece of a dying star? A fragment of a cosmic heart? She knew she had only just begun to understand its secrets. As starlight glided silently back into Sector Gamma, the Viridian heart, the vibrant greens and blues of her biodome home, felt even more welcoming. She looked at the luminatrees, their leaves now shimmering with an almost ecstatic brilliance. The Lumabot she had fixed earlier zipped past her window, its azure light a joyful streak. She docked starlight and slipped back into her quiet quarters. The crystal, now a soft internal ember, pulsed gently in her hand. It felt tired, but content, like she did. She placed it carefully on her bedside table, where it cast a faint ruby glow on the smooth, polished surface. Ilara lay in her bed, gazing at the crystal. The stars outside her window, beyond the biodome's protective layers, seemed to wink at her knowingly. She had found 2 fading flames. 2 sparks reignited. But the universe was vast, boundless, teeming with life and technology, and she knew with a profound certainty that there were countless others. Fading stars, silent cities, forgotten dreams, waiting for the touch of the red crystal. Waiting for the little light who had found the key. She closed her eyes, a smile playing on her lips. Tomorrow, the crystal would recharge. Tomorrow, its silent hum would guide her again. Tomorrow, another adventure would begin. The cosmos was calling, and she, with her stardust, was ready to answer. Tomorrow, the crystal would recharge. Tomorrow, its silent hum would guide her again. Tomorrow, another adventure would begin. The cosmos was calling, and she, with her stardust, was ready to answer. The first rays of morning sunlight, soft and golden, painted the room as she stirred. The red crystal, nestled on her bedside table, pulsed with a gentle, inviting rhythm. It wasn't a frantic beat, but a steady, resonant thrum that seemed to echo in her very bones. She reached for it, her fingers tracing its smooth, cool surface. It felt alive. A tiny heart beating with the universe's own pulse. Today, the crystal felt different. Its hum wasn't just a call to adventure, but a whisper, a promise of deeper understanding. When she closed her eyes and held it close, she didn't just see glimpses of new worlds, she felt threads of connection, like gossamer pathways stretching across the void. The crystal's light flared, not outwards, but inwards, drawing her consciousness into a swirling vortex of color and sensation. She felt a gentle tug, a propulsion through the star-dusted velvet of space, far beyond the familiar constellations. She landed, not on a solid surface, but amidst a nebula of unimaginable beauty. It wasn't the fiery chaos she had seen in pictures, but a delicate, shimmering tapestry of light and energy. Wisps of pearlescent gas drifted like slow-motion rivers, interwoven with strands of pure resonant light. Each strand vibrated with a unique frequency, a tiny song in a grand cosmic chorus. This was no silent city, but a living network, a vast, intricate loom where the very fabric of existence seemed to be woven. As she drifted through the luminous currents, the crystal pulsed in her hand, mirroring the light strands around her. It wasn't just awakening dormant places, it was connecting them. She realized the crystal was a key, not just to worlds, but to the invisible pathways that linked them all. Faint echoes, like whispers carried on a cosmic breeze, reached her mind. Weavers, the word resonated with the light strands, suggesting ancient beings who had spun this celestial tapestry, binding stars and souls together. Their work, vast and intricate, had somehow faded, their connections growing dim over unimaginable eons. The crystal, she understood now, was a weaver's key, a tool to reawaken those lost connections. A profound sense of purpose began to settle over her. This wasn't just about discovering new sights. It was about mending something broken, reconnecting something lost. Her adventures weren't just for her own wonder, but for the universe itself. The crystal guided her next to a world where thoughts manifested as light sculptures. Here, the very air shimmered with the dreams and ideas of its inhabitants, forming ephemeral cities of light that rearranged themselves with every new inspiration. She saw towering cathedrals of abstract concepts, gardens of shared joy, and shimmering pathways of collective memory. But even here, she noticed faint cracks in the luminous architecture, moments where thoughts didn't quite connect, where ideas seemed to drift apart. With the crystal, she didn't just observe, she participating. Her own Stardust thoughts, imbued with empathy and curiosity, mingled with the native thought forms, gently reknitting the frayed edges of their shared consciousness. She left behind a brighter, more cohesive tapestry of dreams. Next, she found herself on a planet that was a colossal, living library. Its mountains were made of crystalline data strands, its rivers flowed with liquid information, and its forests rustled with the whispers of forgotten histories. Here, knowledge was a tangible, breathing entity. But vast sections of this library world were dark, silent, their data crystals dull and inert. Whole epochs of history, entire species' wisdom, had been lost to a creeping cosmic amnesia. The crystal, pulsing with an eager warmth, helped her to activate dormant neural pathways within the planet itself. She touched ancient crystalline scrolls, and the crystal's hum, combined with her own concentrated wonder, brought them back to life. She saw visions of the weavers themselves, shimmering beings of pure light, carefully intertwining the threads of nascent civilizations, gently guiding the flow of knowledge across galaxies. They weren't rulers, but caretakers, gardeners of the cosmic mind. With each journey, she learned to listen more deeply to the crystal's hum. It wasn't just a navigational beacon, it was a repository of the weaver's wisdom, guiding her not just to places, but to memorize, to the echoes of forgotten purpose. She began to understand the true nature of the challenge. The universe was slowly losing its song. The intricate connections woven by the weavers, the cosmic tapestry that bound all life and knowledge, was fraying. This was the cosmic silence hinted at in the first moments of her journey, not a sudden cataclysm, but a slow, insidious process of disconnection, leading to isolation, forgotten wisdom, and stars dimming prematurely, their light no longer shared or nurtured by the grand network. The crystal, she now knew, was not just Yogwei Weaver's key, but perhaps the last active one, the one destined to reawaken the others, or, more accurately, to re-establish the cosmic tapestry itself. Its purpose was immense, humbling, and utterly vital. Her path became clearer, guided by the crystal's steady glow. It led her to specific nodes or anchor points in the universe, ancient, forgotten places where the tapestry was once strong, vital hubs of cosmic connection that had fallen into disrepair. Each node presented a unique challenge, not of conflict, but of understanding, empathy, and gentle recreation. On one world, shrouded in perpetual twilight, she found a species of beings who had forgotten how to dream. Their lives were orderly, logical, but devoid of wonder, color, or imagination. Their skies, once vibrant with aurorae of shared fantasies, were now a dull uniform gray. The crystal pulsed with a gentle sadness. Her task was to reintroduce imagination. It wasn't about imposing her own dreams, but gently stirring the embers of their own forgotten inner worlds. She projected images of stardust, of swirling galaxies, of laughing children, not through force, but through a shared empathic connection amplified by the crystal. Slowly, hesitantly, the twilight beings began to remember. Faint, shimmering patterns started to appear in their skies, then brighter, more intricate tapestries of collective dreams, reigniting their inner light. Another journey took her to a planet where history itself had been corrupted. Ancient monuments told contradictory tales, historical records were fragmented and biased, and the inhabitants lived in a state of perpetual confusion about their past. Truth, like a forgotten language, had vanished. The crystal guided her to the planet's core, a vast geode of memory crystals. Here, she saw the true, unvarnished history, the rise and fall of civilizations, the moments of profound wisdom and profound folly. It wasn't her place to rewrite their history, but to make the truth accessible. With the crystal, she activated dormant resonance chambers, sending out waves of pure, unadulterated historical data, gently correcting the fragmented narratives, allowing the planet's inhabitants to rediscover their true story, to learn from it, and to build a more honest future. These challenges weren't battles but acts of cosmic gardening, tending to the delicate ecosystem of consciousness. She learned to trust her intuition, her empathy, the quiet wisdom that hummed within her own stardust. She understood that her stardust wasn't just a metaphor for her wonder, It was a literal connection to the creative, binding force of the weavers, a spark of the universal consciousness that yearned for connection. She didn't gather allies in the traditional sense, no other little lights joined her physically. Instead, she awakened dormant echoes of the weavers themselves, not physical beings, but ancient AI guardians, or vast, sentient energy patterns left behind to protect the nodes. These echoes communicated through pure thought, offering guidance, fragments of lost knowledge, and tales of the tapestry's magnificent past. They spoke of the Great Silence, the ultimate fate of systems that completely severed their ties, becoming desolate voids where stars truly died. These encounters fueled her resolve, showing her the immense stakes of her cosmic quest. The crystal's hum grew stronger, more insistent, guiding her towards a final grand destination. It was leading her to the very heart of the tapestry. She felt a mixture of awe and trepidation, knowing that this was the culmination of her journey, the place where the ultimate act of reweaving would take place. She found herself at the edge of what appeared to be a supermassive black hole. But this was no destructive maw of gravity. Instead, shimmering at its event horizon, was a point of exquisite, concentrated light. It pulsed with every color imaginable, a nexus where gravity and creation intertwined, a cosmic womb where new stars were born from primordial energy and ancient stardust was recycled into new life. This was the heart, the central nexus of the universe, the ultimate anchor point for the cosmic tapestry. Around the heart, she saw faint, ethereal outlines, ghost-like structures of light and energy, the remnants of the original weaver's loom, now silent and inert. The Great Silence was close here, its cold breath almost palpable, threatening to swallow even this sacred place. The crystal in her hand pulsed with an intensity she had never felt before, almost burning with latent power. It wasn't a battle she faced, but a monumental act of cosmic reconnection. She understood what she had to do. With unwavering resolve she extended her arm, holding the crystal towards the shimmering heart. As the crystal moved closer it ignited, not with a destructive flare, but with a gentle spreading light that mirrored the heart's own radiance. Her own stardust, the wonder and empathy she had cultivated throughout her journey, flowed from her, merging with the crystal's power. The knowledge she had gathered from the library world, the dreams she had helped rekindle, the connections she had re-established, all of it surged through her, through the crystal, and into the heart. A ripple of pure energy emanated from the nexus, washing over the dormant weaver's loom. Slowly, hesitantly at first, then with increasing brilliance, the ethereal structures began to glow, threads of light stretching outwards, reaching across the void. The cosmic tapestry, frayed and forgotten for so long, began to reignite. She closed her eyes, overwhelmed by the sensation. She wasn't just an observer, she was a conduit, a participant in a cosmic symphony. She experienced a profound connection to her life, past, present and future. She saw the weaver's original intent, their gentle loving desire to bind all consciousness together in a harmonious whole. She saw the universe not as disparate points of light, but as an infinitely complex, breathtakingly beautiful living organism, breathing and dreaming. And in that moment of profound connection, she saw others. Not just one little light, but countless others across time and space, each with their own unique spark, their own crystal, their own journey. Some had woven their threads in the distant past, some were doing so now, and some would carry on the work long after her. She was part of an eternal lineage, a guardian of the universal song. The cosmic silence receded, replaced by an overwhelming symphony of life, light, and thought. It wasn't a sound, but a feeling, a vibrant hum that resonated through every atom of existence. Stars pulsed brighter, planets thrived with renewed energy, and ancient civilizations, across countless galaxies, seemed to remember their forgotten dreams, their lost connections. The universe breathed a collective sigh of relief and joy. When the light subsided, and she opened her eyes, the heart of the tapestry pulsed with a steady, magnificent glow. The weaver's loom was fully reignited, its threads shimmering with vibrant life, stretching out into the infinite expanse. The crystal in her hand still glowed, but its frantic urgency was gone. It was now a beacon of connection, a warm, quiet presence, a reminder of what had been accomplished. Its primary mission, for now, was complete. A gentle wave of energy enveloped her, guiding her back through the relit pathways of the universe, past stars that twinkled with newfound vigor, past nebulae that danced with vibrant hues, until she found herself back in her own familiar room. The morning sun had climbed higher, filling the space with its comforting warmth. She sat on her bed, the red crystal resting softly in her palm. She was changed, profoundly so. She was no longer just a little light with a wondrous crystal. She was a weaver herself, a guardian of the tapestry, a living thread in the grand design. The vastness of the cosmos no longer felt distant or unknown. It hummed within her, a part of her very being. She knew the work of the universe was never truly done. It was an ongoing process of growth, connection, and gentle tending. But she had helped to mend a great rift, to reignite a forgotten song. Her journey had inspired new lights, awakened dormant potential in the farthest reaches of creation, ensuring that the cosmic tapestry would continue to thrive. She looked out her window at the stars, now knowing their stories, their intricate connections, their shared dreams. She felt the quiet hum of the universe within her, a warm, comforting presence. She smiled, a deep, peaceful smile, and closed her eyes. The adventure was over for now, but the wonder remained, woven into the very fabric of who she was. The crystal rested beside her, a silent, warm presence. And she, with her stardust, drifted into a sleep filled with the gentle, endless song of the reconnected cosmos.